Hello, I'm Roger Bisbee from the Skill Builder channel, where we talk about all things building, and every so often I get to travel around and have a look at buildings in different countries. So I was out in Naples, and this, as you may know, is Vesuvius, which famously erupted and all the lava flowed down the hill and it buried Pompeii. Bigger fools then for building a city in the path of a volcano. Whereas Naples, which predates Pompeii, was built out of the way in a nice quiet bay just along the coast. So here they are, the fortifications, and I say nice quiet bay, but all people are under attack from something. If it's not volcanoes, it's pirates or somebody else coming to nick your money. And here is the money. This is the Galleria Alberto I. This is very similar to one in Milan. If you've been to Milan, you'll see one in Milan which is much bigger, but it's almost an identical design. If you look at that fantastic glass canopy over it and the arches at the end of it, and if you get fed up with looking at the roof, there's a lovely floor there that's got all the signs of the zodiac all the way round it. But look up at the detail. If anybody wonders about the Italians' ability to build, you just got to look at all this. I mean, all these little things here are just leaves, all made out of plaster. Every single one of those is a leaf, because they've got all these lovely arches and pillars, and this you would think was marble, but it's actually just a paint effect on those columns. So there's the Galleria, and there's the dome. This dome has got 16 spines going all the way around it, and it's the most beautiful bit of work, suspended on some struts, and you can see it from the outside here. That gives you a clearer view of what it's like, but it's a fantastic bit of work, isn't it? And this is a cathedral in Naples. Now, they got a lot of churches in Naples. They've got over 1,000 of them, I think, which is a lot. They've actually got more per head than any other city in Italy, which poses a bit of a problem because they can't really afford to keep them all in tip-top shape. There was a time when rich merchants and people like that would build a church, and here's one of the most fantastic churches in the whole of Naples, but from the outside you would not know it. I mean, have you ever seen an uglier facade to a church than that? I just don't know what they were thinking, really, but when you go inside, it's a revelation, because this is what you get. This fantastic church, and look at the ceiling, all that beautiful paintwork. I mean, they talk about the Sistine Chapel, but this has got a fair share of beautiful artwork. I was wondering how they actually got up to those ceilings. I mean, okay, when they were painting it, they probably had scaffolding, but there's always maintenance work and bits and pieces to do. And this is a kind of wheeled extension ladder. They don't use it now, but it's been left there just to show you how they did move around. You wind the handles up and the various segments just go up like a rope-operated extension ladder, really. But the whole thing is made out of timber, and I bet it wobbles like hell. And this, bit strange this, because it's only actually a couple of 100 years old. There was something there before. There was like a monastery there, and it was all flattened by basically Napoleon's brother-in-law or somebody, I don't know, but anyway, they decided to build this new church. But to me it's all a bit confused, because this dome is a kind of a nod to the Pantheon in Rome, which is the largest single unreinforced concrete structure spanning the world, and is over 2,000 years old, is still here. So they decided that they were going to build a similar structure here, only not quite as good. And this was actually done by a Swiss architect. But then, okay, you've got that. And then you stick this portico on the front, which to my mind doesn't belong there at all. And then they've put this porch, this curved porch, all the way round. They call it a porch. And that is a kind of, I think, a nod to the Vatican, because the Vatican's got a similar sort of arrangement, hasn't it? And then they've just left this big open square so that they can hold rallies and concerts and God knows what. But to me, it's not a great looking structure. There's a bit of damp coming in. So 200 years old, and it's already suffering from damp. Now, this is a smaller church. Okay, this one's still going, but you will see all over the place. You'll see churches. Look at this one. This is actually hemmed in by buildings all around it. As I said, they've got so many churches, they don't know what to do with them. Turn them into discos, I say. But anyway, you can see what's going on there. They've got people living in parts of it. Some of it's gone out to apartments. They just can't afford to keep them all, basically. They, even if they had a demand for them, which is debatable. And here's another one which is closed up, and you can see there's a little shrine there, so they've kept that going rather like a Tesco's Express, if you like. Rather than a big supermarket, you've got a little place you can go and pray at. So if you're old and you can't get down to the big churches, and it's quite a hilly place, Naples, and if you can't get down there, then you can just stand at one of these little shrines and do your 3 Hail Marys or whatever you do. I don't know. I'm not big on religion, but you can see what I'm saying. They just stick them in there. There's another one. They just stick them in. Anywhere you can light a candle and say a prayer, do your cross. And these are just dotted around everywhere, all over the city. You'll find these little things that people have just made up themselves. And here is the other great religion in Naples, which obviously is football, and that would be the team of Naples. But who put Naples on the map? It wasn't an Italian. It was this Argentinian fella that you may recognise, Maradona, and they treat Maradona like a god. I mean, this is a mural of him, and people trek up the hill in the same way that they would have gone up to some monastery or whatever. They make their way up the hill just to stand in awe and gaze at the face, the image of Maradona, the icon, if you like. And there you can see that's actually going across somebody's window there, so presumably at some time those shutters pop open and we see a Maradona lookalike peering out at us. Maybe, I don't know. It's extremely popular, as you can see by the crowds there. All these people coming up, and all over the city there are little bits dotted around. These are the people who have made their way up to see Maradona and are now making their way back down in the rain to get a pizza. If you're a motorcyclist, you just go where the hell you like. The motor scooter in Italy, that's another thing that's revered, isn't it? Look at this guy. Get out my way, I'm going through. So it's a lively place full of crowded streets and tumbled down buildings. Now here you can see what I think is pretty interesting. These are the bricks that they use all over Italy. They're different size and shape to ours. The reason they're like that is because back in the day, I mean, these would have been fired a long, long time ago. You can see that it's built on top of a bit of stonework, and under that is a bit more brickwork. And basically they're just built with what they had. The reason these bricks are like this is because the Romans built a brick like this, and they found that if they built a fatter brick, they couldn't fire it because they were firing it in wood-fired kilns, and it wasn't possible for them to fire the brick all the way through. So they said, all right, we'll make a thinner brick, more like a tile, and that way we can fire them all the way through. And the fact that 2,000 years later, they're still there and they're still being used, and sometimes they've been used several times. And there's the stonework underneath. You can see a bit of brick in there, a bit of stone, anything you like. And that's quite interesting to me because this just shows the level of dilapidation. Quite an impressive structure, that, if you look at the way it's all cantilevered out. But on closer examination, this is still going through here, and it's rusting away like mad. So unless somebody's got some money, they can't put a prop up there because it's a roadway, so it'll stop cars going through or whatever. But at some point, somebody's got to do something about that. And I think this is the problem, that they got so much in the way of historic buildings in this city that they're kind of defeated. They just don't have the money to deal with everything. So there's obviously they prioritise, but it means that a lot of this beautiful city is going to rack and ruin. Here's another example where we've got the door of the church is just being held up with a scaffolding, and here's something that you see all over Naples: boilers on the outside, because if you haven't got room for a boiler on the inside of your house, this may only do hot water, a bit of heating maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that's what they do. They stick it outside. And you imagine a service engineer, if ever they had a service engineer, and he came to service that, he's got to get up over the top of that canopy even to access it. Goodness knows. And is that flue regulation distance from that opening window? I don't think so. And there's another little gas boiler. And these are the streets you can see. They've just got everybody hanging there, washing out, trying to survive the narrow streets, steep steps going all the way down. There's a lovely plumbing arrangement, isn't it? This is the drain off the air conditioning and a little bit of something else going in there, and it's all feeding into that soil stack. You know, you go from a city where appearance was everything, where craftsmen hundreds and hundreds of years ago were putting in the most beautiful buildings in the world, and then you go to this. But there's a kind of charm about it all, isn't there? If you romanticise poverty, then you may find that charming. But this is not so charming, and this is where a lot of people live. And the reason this is like this is because the city was bombed by the Allies in the Second World War. This was a stronghold for the Nazis, and we had to get in there and root them out somehow. You can see what happened. You know, it's amazing anything survives from these wars, isn't it? And the answer for a lot of people is change the regime. These people are having a little bit of a celebration. They're celebrating Liberation Day, and basically they're saying we got liberated from Hitler, so now we want to be communists. They obviously don't like their freedom, do they? Here they are, this is the hammer and sickle, this is the communist flags, the anarchists, they're all in there. This girl here, she's stopping the traffic. She's an anarchist, but she wants some rules. So if you ever fancy a trip to Naples, there's a lot to see. I've only just basically given you a taste there of what I saw, but there's a lot more. There's fantastic quarries underground. Basically, they just dug up the stone and built the city, and it's a hell of a place. So I'm Roger Bisbee. Let me know if you enjoyed that, if that's the sort of thing you want to see more of, because I am keen to travel the world at somebody else's expense, preferably.